Good day, fam. It's another episode of Live Life, Be Happy 24/7. With me, the legend, as you know, the baby, but I also go by the name of the man of the hour from that other show, A Slice of Canada. And you know what? It's about, being authentic and being real. Since we talk about Canada, we're back in Canada at my other home. And, like I said, amazing artists out of Canada who have graced the stage and done some really incredible things in our lifetime. What I like to do today is I'm invited a friend to the show. I call him, like I said, my musical brother, Phenom. His name is Jeff Eager. Jeff, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good, Janva. Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Welcome, man. Thank you, man. Like I said, it's been long awaiting. I know I've heard a lot of your music on our show, A Slice of Canada, and I was just like, Wanda, when we're going to get Jeff, and Wanda was the one that made this happen. So much love for my co-pilot, Wanda Ryan. She's amazing.
Yeah.
And like I said, you've been really doing some amazing things. But before we jump off to start the show, I wanted to say a big kudos and congratulations on your album release today, 2070.
Yes.
Congratulations. Just to let you know, I already listened to all the songs, so great stuff.
Oh, yeah? Thanks, man.
Oh, yeah, man. I'll play around, man. Yeah. Musical masterpiece, man. Great stuff.
Wow. Thank you.
You've done an amazing job on that. When I do finally meet up with you, which we are definitely, want to get the vinyl because I'm, all about the vinyl. That's what
awesome. Yeah. This is my first time doing vinyl, so it's a new thing for me too. Yeah.
All right. Good. Well, as I always say to my guests, I'm going to take the audience seat, and we're going to just kind of sit back and hear about your journey and how everything kind of came full circle, and for us to learn about Jeff Eager and his journey. So, Jeff, you have the platform, and share it with audience who you are, man, and what you're doing.
Yeah, the journey. Well, everyone's got their own journey. For me, I was always really into music as a kid and learning lots of instruments. I grew up in Calgary, Alberta. I was playing piano and guitar and bass and singing when I was a teenager. I wasn't athletic, so music became like an identity for me. I grew up, in the 90s, but I was listening to music from the 60s and 70s and 80s. Okay. So it's funny that, people say that the music from when you were a teenager really defines you, like that's the most meaningful music to you. Mm-hmm. But the music when I was a teenager was Sgt. Pepper's, Beatles.
Nice.
Like, Queen albums. Like that's what I associate with my youth, even though it's like 20 years later. Right? Yeah. That came out. So yeah, at some point I decided I was going to make the move to Toronto after I finished school in Calgary, and thought I'll give this music career a shot. Whatever that means. I did like the one-way ticket thing and came to Toronto, and that was almost 20 years ago.
Nice.
So I guess it worked out.
It paid off.
Yeah.
You're doing some really incredible things, seeing on social media. And what I like about your music, it's authentic. It's real. It kind of represents you. So when I sit back and I'm listening to Jeff Eager playing, Jeff Eager song, it's very distinctive. So like I said, I know it took time for that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying so. So this is my second album. I did an album like 8 years ago, which was a great like first attempt. But the big difference with this is exactly what you're saying. I thought I'm an independent artist, so I'm not signed to any label. I don't have management. I've always run my own career. Right. And if I'm going to put all this of my own money into it, because making an album is expensive, and all this time into it, I wanted to make the exact record that I wanted to make, the music I wanted to make, and not worry about, well, how would this chart, or how would this, maybe this song's too long, or maybe this is none of that. I just thought, if I'm going to do this, I need to be all in, and I need to sit back at the end and go, I love all these songs.
Yeah.
Like I love them, as much as the covers that I play, and that was a big thing too. I make my living playing covers. and I have for 17 years, you know, in the bar scene and the corporate scene and the wedding scene. As a working musician, you play a lot of covers. And I do play my favorite covers. I tend to play my favorite music, and I don't really play stuff that I don't care for too much.
Right.
But I realized that I want to have original music that I enjoy just as much.
Totally agree.
You know, if I'm playing The Way You Make Me Feel, Michael Jackson, if I'm playing a Prince song, if I'm playing, you know, I love Billy Joel, like, I want to have originals that make me feel just as good on stage as when I play those covers. So that really was the challenge with this album. Can I write music that makes me feel as good on stage as these covers, which I love so much? Yeah.
And speak about the album, Jeff. Tell me about the inspiration that was the motivation around this project.
Yeah, this was interesting. So I obviously, like I said, I wanted to make songs that I could fall in love with. Right. But the motivation for the album, you know, I couldn't at this point pursue fame and fortune. That wasn't really a noble, you know, thing to say, oh, I hope this album blows up and I hope that I become famous, right. You know, anything like that. Not at this age, you know, anymore. Right. I'm also a husband and father. I have 3 daughters. Oh. And so I thought, okay, I need motivation to do this project. Because it's going to be 2 or 3 years since you start demoing it to when it's done. Right. And I started to think about my kids and if they will take an interest in this when they're older. Because they kind of like it now, but again, they're doing their own thing. They got their own lives. They're like, you know, they don't really know some of the stuff that I do when I'm not at home. They don't fully get what I do maybe as a job.
That seems to be the norm with kids nowadays. I'm the same way too. They don't know. They're just like, hey, Dad.
Well, we have strange jobs though, don't we, Jumpa? Yeah. You know, it's not like Dad's the mailman, you know, Dad's a firefighter, you know, Dad's a baker, whatever, you know, like jobs you read about when you were like reading children's books. Yeah. You know, Dad plays guitar for a living. No, so this was, you know, so I started to write these songs thinking, okay, I'm going to write these for now that maybe when the kids are older and I'm very old, or when I'm gone, they're going to dig into this a little more and realize that I have written this album and put a whole bunch of Easter eggs and nuggets and things for them to find. It's really like a window into what's going on in my world and my life right now. And I hope other people resonate with that. The themes are quite universal. But so the album's called 2070 because I'm imagining a year in the future where the kids could dig into this. Now I could have picked any year, but 2070 happened to rhyme with a lyric in a song. There's a song on the album called Audience of 3 in 2070. And that really is like the North Star of the album. This is for an audience of 3 in 2070. And that kept me going on it. That's like, okay, I'm going to do this album. I'm going to put everything into it. I'm going to do it to a very high standard. I'm not going to cut any corners and make something to be proud of. And even if today it makes a tiny little splash, maybe later, you know, way down the line, the kids will pull it out and be like, hey, everyone, look what my old dad did years ago, decades ago.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a good approach. I'm like you. I always say, you know, Billboard is great, but I'm about the hardboard. So I see the similarities in us because I could, before you told me the names of, you know, some of these artists, I already knew, I could hear it, you know, and I was just like, you know what, Jeff's got this unique stuff. And every time I get one of your songs and where I'm making the playlist, I said, don't worry about it. I'll make it work. And I listen to it and I see it. And like I said, you know, I'm just like you. We would write songs that we weren't worried about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. We just write the song and where it lands, you know?
I think, there's an interesting kind of approach I took. I look at some of the stuff like that Quincy and Michael Jackson do, right? And you look at these songs from Thriller and there's so many videos now, and now you can actually get the tracks all separated out, right? Like with technology now, you can go really deep into this. Greg Fillinganes, the keyboard player, you know, that did all of MJ's stuff, he does videos on like, here's the synth patch we used, and here's the, you know, so you have access to all that, and you realize how complicated these songs were, like the arrangements, like they're really analyzing every little thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's all put together, it's accessible to a big audience, and it's simple, and it just grooves.
Right.
So I put a lot into these songs, but in the end, the litmus test was, does this just groove? Does this just feel good? Because I didn't want to make complex songs.
Right.
I didn't want it to be like, wow, this is a little heady, or this is a little, I get it, this is for jazz musicians or something. I'm not a jazz musician, but I wanted to make stuff that put a lot into it, and then the listener can sit back and go, this just grooves. This just feels good. This feels funky. I want to get up and dance. I really like this. So it works on the simple level, and I think that's a good balance to strike.
Yeah, you've definitely decoded that, because my professor at Berkeley, Prince Charles Alexander, you probably know him. He produced Beyonce, Sting, Diddy, and them. He always said to me, "Keep it simple. Keep it simple," and that's the key, because if somebody, an audience, is listening to your arrangement, whether it be a wedding, whatever, and they want to sing along, or even probably get on the piano or some instrument and play. They want to play something that that they can gravitate to. It's going to be in its simplest form, and that's the art of of being a master at what you do. And you got that. I checked you out, man. I was like, yeah, this guy is arranging.
Well, and it's hooks. I the other thing I did with this album that maybe I didn't do as much in my first album was, rather than, I was never just comping parts. If I was coming up with a guitar part, I was writing another hook. So you already had a vocal hook. You already had some other hook going on. A bass line is like, rather than just comp along, it's like, let's have a line that in itself you could go, wow, that's an earworm. Like, that is catchy by itself. The string lines, the horn lines, like, it's just all really hooky. You could take out every one, and it kind of stands alone as a catchy melody. That was my goal, anyway.
Nice. Well, as you're talking to me about your process, I envision Jeff Eager having a master class. So put that on the to-do list one day. Seriously, when I put things out there, like I said, because you got a good writing process, and a lot of these young folks, they need to, like I said, acclimate themselves with what was being done before to incorporate, because it's all a cycle. It's a cycle. But sometimes they kind of overthink it, overdo it, where you don't have to reinvent the wheel when it's right there in front of you. Yeah. My next question is, I was checking out your Instagram, and I kind of was checking up some of your performances. And as I was checking out one of your performances, and I saw you on stage, you were like just doing your thing, bringing your smoke on the guitar. And I kind of looked to the side, and I saw that you had another singer next to you, bringing their heat too. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna have to ask you, like, how's this Lenny Kravitz collaboration thing going on there? What's going on? And I know there was a happy birthday, but I was just watching the energy and the collaboration. I'm like, how did that happen?
That was just an amazing experience from quite a few years back now. I was able to be on stage with Lenny a couple times, actually. Once was this one back here.
Yeah, that was the one.
And there's Lenny smiling at the drum kit there. He's probably my biggest influence, to be honest with you. That's one of the 90s artists that I was really into, because Lenny Kravitz was rock and roll, and I love rock and roll, and he was also like soul and R&B and funk. And I found him to be the perfect blend. And so I've always really identified with what Lenny was doing in the 90s with those first 5 albums. So he was always kind of my hero. But I mean, long story short, he was here playing an event in Toronto. It wasn't a public event, it was something else. And I was there doing another part of the night. And I ended out holding up a sign, doing the audience side. And at the time, I fronted a Lenny Kravitz tribute band in Toronto. And I said, hey, I front an LK tribute band. Can I come and jam with you? And Lenny, he pulled me on stage, and he gave me his guitar, the Flying V, and we went into Are You Gonna Go My Way? I didn't really know what we were gonna do. I was like, okay, but I'm ready to go. I was thinking, I've played this song 1,000 times. I know it inside and out. And so has this band. You guys also know this song quite well. So I'm like, this should go really well.
Right.
And it did, and it was a real experience. And then a couple of years later, he was in Toronto at a full public concert, and we got to the front, and I again just said, hey, can I jam with you again?
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled me up a second time to do that. So
Nice.
I got to meet him that time and shake his hand and say hi. And
Nice.
but just, I mean, yeah, that was just one of those. It was sort of a chance experience, obviously. Like it was a sign in an audience. But what a thing to take with me, you know, for the rest of my life.
Well, yeah, you know, I was watching and listening, and you didn't miss a beat. So, like I said, I know you're like me; you're always on, ready to go, a true professional. And I could tell because I listened. Yeah, and you would have never known that that's how it happened. But like I said, you guys were making magic. So, you know, kudos to you on that. Now, I see you have a lot of things in flow with the album. So, what's on the horizon with the new album and everything else that you got going on?
So, you know, my big goal was really just to get to this finish line, was getting this album done. We are doing one big album release show in Burlington, Ontario, and that's on Thursday, July 20th. And it's at a place called B-Town Sound, which is a very well-known studio in Burlington where we recorded the bed tracks for the album, which is kind of cool. So we're going back to the space where we started making this album. And they're also like an event space, so we're going to do that. As far as other dates, you know, as an independent artist and in like a country the size of Canada, it is tough to travel. It's tough to make it lucrative or even break even traveling and touring. Right. So I basically just leverage the opportunities that I have in front of me. So, I mean, if you go to jeffeagermusic.com or just follow me, you know, on Instagram, whatever, I'll post where the shows are. So we have some shows just throughout the summer in some different places around Ontario. And then I continue to play, you know, cover gigs at a few local spots as well, which I'm always happy to bring records with me, play an original song and promote it. I think these days it's the music career is do everything you can and make it work for you.
Exactly.
It's not like planning a massive tour through North America with a 8-piece band. Like, that's not gonna happen. So,
you know,
yeah.
And
so you do what you can, you know.
Yeah, you know. I also want to ask, with the global pandemic that we all kind of went through, how did you keep yourself, you know, in tune with what you're doing and just navigating through that whole period of uncertainty?
For me, it flipped to the kids, really. Like I kind of didn't really think about what was happening with music so much. It just obviously live music stopped, and but the kids' school also stopped and everything. So, you know, my concern was really for them. I jumped into like this, you know, full-time stay-at-home dad mode. Also, they were doing the online school thing, which, I mean, that didn't work. That was rough all around for everyone. And I think looking back, that might have been not the way to go. But anyway, yeah, getting the kids through those tough times and trying to stay positive. It was tough. It got tough as the years went on, right? During that time. I'll tell you the cool thing though, you know, being someone who I play in bands and I back up other artists, but I do a lot of solo acoustic stuff. Wow. And I give this advice to a lot of musicians starting out. You know, if they say, how can I just get going making a living in music or starting to play? And I tell them, have a solo show. You know, just be able to accompany yourself and sing and have 3 sets of some music together. And you can always work, because there's tons of places that just want solo musicians and far fewer places that are hiring a 4-piece band or a 5-piece band. So with the pandemic, when things started to trickle in again, when people wanted music, even at like a wedding or anything, they were calling small groups and solo first. Right? So I was working kind of throughout the pandemic. I was doing some online things. And when we could do live again, it was a lot of, we can just have you solo. We can't have a 5-piece band.
Right.
So that really worked in my favor. And that would be advice I would give to, you know, to any musician. If you just want to get 10,000 hours on a microphone in front of people, you know, if you can do 3 sets by yourself of your favorite covers, and if you have wheels to get around, just go start logging those hours and get on a microphone in front of people.
Well, very good, very good, and thank you for sharing that. It's very, very enlightening, for our audience who's listening to us today. With that said and done, we're a huge supporter of our guests, whoever comes on the show, and being that we have that global family that's really here to just jump on anything that I put out there. Again, we want to know. I know you mentioned Instagram. Are there any other places that we can find you, support you? To kind of be tapped in with Jeff Eager. So when you drop your stuff, we're right there for you.
Yeah. For me, like social media, Instagram is what I use the most. And YouTube as well. I've built a YouTube channel over the past decade. So I try to keep, great, like more long form content on YouTube. So that's just youtube.com/Jeff Eager. Okay. The Instagram account is Alter Eager. So Alter Eager. Okay. And I tend to post the most on there, to be honest with you. It's just I do have a TikTok as well, but I feel like it's not really not really my thing. And then this Threads thing started, and I thought, oh, Threads, am I going to do Threads? I don't know, Janva. I'm kind of tired of all the places to have to post things.
I know.
So
it's just
Instagram and YouTube is the big one for me. And JeffEagerMusic.com. You can send me a message if you want, or send me a message on Instagram. Like I always reply, and I love hearing from people. So
that's good, my friend. Yeah. As we come to a close, I always like our guests to share a quote that will inspire our listeners. Because these quotes, typically they'll help navigate a creative's journey and also inspire them in achieving their dream. And I've seen this over and over. So as you kind of think and ponder on what you want to deliver, like I said, I'm ready, we're ready, and just deliver.
Yeah, that's a big question. I'm going to, everything is taken from a teacher, right? And I have a kind of a musical guru in my life who also happens to be one of my best friends and the drummer on this album. His name's Adam Bowman, and he's a great drummer, musician, great friend. He's the godfather of one of my kids. I was the best man at his wedding. And all that aside, he is somebody that I've learned so much from in the last 6 or 7 years in playing together. But as I quote him on this, or give you this little tidbit, he would tell you he got it from someone else too. So always with humility, saying these are ideas that are just being passed down. And he said, remember sitting with him about 5 years ago at a gig, and it changed my vision on not seeing music or performances as good or bad. Oh, that was a bad performance, or that was a good performance, or they're really good or they're really bad, or that song's good or that song's bad. He said, replace the word good with care. Take more care. If you're writing a song, how much care are you putting into the song? If you're playing a song, if you're playing with a band, are the people on stage serving the song and putting more care, or is it less care, as in like it's sort of throwaway? And that stuck with me. So I stopped thinking in terms so much of good and bad and started thinking of putting care into everything I do, and intention. Everything I write, I try to be very intentional. And every time I step to a microphone and sing a line of a song, I try to remember I'm doing this with intention. I never want it to be muscle memory, just sort of phoning it in. Right. Especially playing cover gigs for a living, and some songs I've played 3 nights a week for 15 years. I never want to be kind of just zoning out and going through the motions. So intention, be intentional, and care. Take great care of the art you're creating.
Well, Jeff, thank you for that. And like I said, that was words of gold, because like I said, these are some interesting times, and our next generation of creatives can really use that extra push to kind of let them know, what, this is gonna help you navigate through your journey as well. I never say goodbye. I always say until our next encounter again. We always like to bring our guests back to see what's going, but I'm going to see you anyway, because you keep giving us some more things for Slice of Canada. Like I said, it's great to have your stuff, man. Just to keep that machine going, because the folks over there, like I said, over in Europe, they're digging it too as well. And we've just been, very blessed to have that opportunity, and so many things ahead. So again,
Yes.
kudos to what you're doing. Congratulations on the new album as well. And like I said, until again, and have a great week, and blessings to you and your family, brother. All right.
John, but thank you so much, man. Thanks for the support. I really appreciate it, man. You're a gem. Thank you.